Hello, everybody. What a chaotic first Broncos game. At least they somehow managed to escape with the win. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We've got one heck of a Broncos recap to talk about. It's definitely going to be, it could have been very depressing. I think, we'll still have some points of concern, but it'll at least be a happier recap show as I was all of last year. I'm joined by David Talks Sports. Find him at David Talks Broncos, David Talks Buffs, or David Talks Sports on whatever given platform. David, tell the people everything they need to know.
Well, Zach, pumped to be doing this again this year, and I'm glad we can start off talking about a win. Can't wait to get into it with you. Again, love this collaboration. I do have a flagship sponsor of the channel. Zach, you've been gracious enough to allow me to read it as well. So thank you to ProfitX. They're my flagship sponsor on the channel. Guys, this is the #1 peer-to-peer sports prediction market in America. They got the best lines. I'll be honest, man. I had a fantastic plus 100 line for the Broncos -8. Does that hit with it being exactly -8? We'll find out. I don't know. But guys, it looks and feels like a sports book, but it plays with much better odds. So use my promo code Dave in the description, sign up with ProfitX, and start having the most fun with me, man, and make $200 profit cash. So with that being said, Zach, let's go ahead and get into it.
Man, what a game. What a game on so many levels. I was thinking, getting ready for this last year, we really went by the seat of our pants with this thing. And I was like, I want to be a little more organized this time around. And then we had one of the more crazy Broncos games we've ever seen. I'll try and do a quick recap. Actually, I'm not even going to try. There was a lot that happened really quick, and I think I'm going to totally butcher it if I try and run through it all in order, especially as ESPN lets me down right here and isn't giving me the drive sheet. So I'm not even going to try, but what a game. I think I would give a general recap. I think first drive started out very promising. Broncos offense, to me at least, generally looked good, but continued to shoot themselves in the foot with major issues and miscues, whether it was Tyler Bidet dropping the ball, Bo Nix throwing a crazy interception, taking a really bad sack fumble situation. Bad penalties, all sorts of offensive miscues kept leading to drives stalling out. The defense, meanwhile, was pretty nails. Cam Ward had a couple crazy plays early on that opened up some field goal opportunities for the Titans, but generally speaking, the Broncos defense suffocated them. In the second half, more Bo Nix miscues, I should say, towards the end of the first half, Broncos finally got in the end zone and seemed to build a bit of a comfortable lead at 10 to 3, 10 to 6, 10 to 6. And then that quickly went away as the special teams gave up a quick field goal. And then Bo Nix threw legitimately one of the worst interceptions of his NFL career to set up another quick Titans field goal. But from that point on, the defense pitched a perfect shutout, despite Tennessee being gifted a short field multiple times. I mean, David, I feel like most Broncos fans are going to come away from this one feeling negative. It's ultimately a win in the record books. Do you want to start here with the negatives or the positives? I'll defer to you.
Oh, man. Well, let's start getting into the concerns. Maybe then we can, finish with, how elite this defense is and all that. But yeah, I think the story of this one is, what the heck was this offense, man? I don't know if I'm more disappointed with Bo Nix's decision-making or Sean Payton's decision-making, as the game went on. And kind of the first thought that I have right now is I can't remember which Titans defensive lineman was talking about Bo Nix being a one-read only quarterback earlier this year or earlier this week. Okay, Simmons. And I had wondered, was this part of them jostling for a slight psychological advantage, trying to bait Sean Payton and Bo Nix into getting uber aggressive in the passing game? And I think that's kind of what we saw throughout most of this game. We got gunslinger Bo Nix. I like game manager Bo Nix. I think that's what's made him successful and what drove him to having such a successful rookie season. this was a lot of self-inflicted wounds. This has to be cleaned up, but I think we saw Sean Payton and Bo Nix kind of not maybe taking this game as seriously as maybe you would expect. They took it about as seriously as I took it coming into this week, where I thought the Broncos would dominate and run through him, man. But Bo Nix, I think, made it's like he was on cocaine. That's how my friend Marky put it in the Discord. What was this uncharacteristic out of Bo Nix? Hats off to Cam Ward, though. I thought he played very well for his rookie debut in a tough environment.
Yeah, Cam Ward looks legit to me. The stat line isn't good at the end of the game. I get that. I'm not even going to try and argue like it was. I think for much of the third and fourth quarter, he wasn't as good. I think the defense really wore him down by the end. But man, the start of the game, a large part of the only reason the Titans were in this game was because the Broncos consistently shot themselves in the foot and granted potential scoring opportunities. And Cam Ward had a couple bonkers plays. And really, I would say the Broncos lose this game if the Titans receivers had some stickier fingers. There were some in that fourth quarter, multiple downfield opportunities where it was tight windows, hard to make plays, but Ward made the plays. It was his receivers that didn't close the deal. Nix, I think, though, like you said, he's the story of the game. Let's focus there for a second. Payton also deserves some criticism. Don't worry, everybody. We'll get there too. But that was rough for Nix. I have some positive copium. I'm honestly, where I'm landing right now isn't that horribly down, but I want to get the ugliness out of the way first because it was terrible. He started the game okay, but it felt like once he hit on some of those, rolling left shots, he was like feeling himself a little too much. And the heat check started. He was throwing just crazy stuff out there. The first interception to Sutton, like, it wasn't terrible. Sutton could have made a play on that ball, but it's terrible in the sense you're rolling left as a right-handed quarterback, throwing off one foot, like doing a jump pass when there's not really pressure bearing down on you. It reminds me of Bo Nix last year in like week 1 or 2, or last year in the preseason. The game was also moving a lot faster for him then, but it was like, dude, it's great you can throw on the run. Not every single one needs to be a trick shot. And you felt that early. That was driving me crazy. And then once things started to go bad, it felt like he melted down a bit. I think midway through the third, fourth quarter, it felt like he kind of pulled it back out of the flames. And not that he started playing great, but at least got back down to being functional. But the middle hunk of this game, like late second quarter, early third quarter, where he throws that horrendous interception, he has like 3 turnovers in the span of, I'd have to look at it, probably 4 or 5 drives or something.
Yeah.
Just melted down for a little pocket. That was troubling. I mean, I don't know. It looked like, he was just spiraling. It was compounding. The mistakes were compounding on each other. He wasn't correcting them. And I think that is something that probably worries you going forward with Bo.
Yeah. It almost felt like he had some anxious energy, like really at the beginning of this game. And Sean Payton's got to do a better job of just calming him down than kind of egging it on, I feel like, or like encouraging that energy. A lot of bad footwork. Also with Sean Payton, what was with so many of these rollout calls off to his left? And again, I understand wanting to take the gloves off or the training wheels off, but I think, again, Sean Payton deserves some criticism here because I don't think he necessarily got this offense really into a rhythm, really until maybe at some point in the fourth quarter when we started running the ball. Again, some great individual plays by whether it was Cortland Sutton had a fantastic game today. Let's see. Troy Franklin had some good catches. I think Marvin Mims did have some plays despite that, fumble he had punt returning. But it just didn't feel like we played sound, and the play calling was sound at all. Going to the end of the game, it's either a 52-yard field goal or Jeremy Crawshaw, who did look like a franchise punter today. Thank God.
He had a good performance.
Thank God. He looked good today. You could do that, but going for it on a 4th and 8 or doing a lame QB sneak without doing the tush push when you got Devondre Sweat right there. Again, that outcome was not surprising. just questionable decision making from Sean Payton. Our defense, this team won in spite, I think, of two of our more important figureheads in the organization.
I would agree. And before I pile on Payton, because I do agree, I will say I think one thing to watch all season is what does Bo Nix look like under pressure. It's been, I think if you listen to any national media, it's the big point that's been stressed about Bo Nix going into the season. Now, I will say it was a little, I think, over dramatized to me. I think it is an area where he needs to grow. But if you look at, the post week 7 stuff, when it looked like Bo finally settled in, it wasn't that terrible. It wasn't good. It's still an area that needs improvement. But instead of like being 33rd or 34th, he was like 15th to 20th, somewhere in there. So more average. That said, today it looked like the 33rd, 34th version. I don't know the final numbers, but there was a point where on 5 pressure to dropbacks, he had 1 completion, which I think only went for like 1 yard or something, but he had 1 completion, 2 interceptions, and a fumble. It was just crazy. And all 3 of those, the fumble was recovered by the other team. So that's 3 turnovers on 5. I guess there were 5 pressured attempts. So then the last one would have just been 6 dropbacks, and you've got 3 That's crazy. You can't have pressure result in a turnover 50% of the time. That's not a viable way to live on offense. And so it just has to be better there. Yeah. Now for the Payton hunk of it, just wild. I think the run stuff with Payton, like, he doesn't lean on the run game, I think it's been dramatically overhyped all off season, even last year. There's data points. I wish I downloaded them and I could flash them on the screen. Look at my Twitter. They're on there. Where he's actually pretty average in terms of how frequently he calls a pass, how frequently he calls a run, and pretty average too, even when you filter it by situation. How regularly does he do it on 2nd and short or 2nd and long? Really down the board, he's pretty average. That was not fucking true today. Excuse my language. I shouldn't swear so we get demonetized, but that was absolutely not true today. Of the first 15 plays, 13 of them were runs. Now, some of that's on Bo Nix too. There were RPO plays in there that Bo Nix was pulling that I think maybe should have been handed off. But even then, maybe we're talking about 9-6 or 10-5, which is a better split, but still unbalanced and still a problem. Like you said, the offense seemed to have its best rhythm. I'd say those first 4 plays of the game when Nix hit 4 straight completions, that looked like rhythm, but maybe it was just scripted. It was 4 plays. I don't know how much thought we can put in that. After that, the only other time they found offensive rhythm, to your point, was when the run game started working. And then I got to talk about the 4th down. That was one of the worst coaching decisions I've ever seen. Truly. It's outthinking the room. It's like, why are you trying to outsmart yourself there? I'm not a conservative guy when it comes to really anything, but when it comes to the football calling, I'm not a guy to be like, hey, punt it on the plus 40 or whatever. But in this instance, when your defense has shut them down the entire second half, the only points they've gotten since like midway through the second quarter are because of special teams miscues and an offensive turnover. I would have just gone Crawshaw, kick it out of bounds. Don't let it be a touchback, but kick it out of bounds somewhere inside the 20. And let's dare Cam Ward with 55 seconds and no timeouts to drive down against our defense. And it worked out. Turns out he wasn't able to even drive 65 or whatever, but the plays were there to be made. And I think the Broncos got so dang lucky because I can't get it. What the hell was that? I didn't like the idea of kicking the field goal necessarily. Like, that's a gamble, but that's infinitely more defensible than like, what the hell was it? Let's just throw the ball up in the air and hope Mims is under it.
It was 4th and 8.
It was nonsense. I don't get it at all. And then for a second, I was like, maybe they're zagging and they're like, hey, we're outside, we're further away than 5 yards. No way they think we're going to try and get them to jump here. So we're going to do that. Or maybe we get backed up and punt or whatever, but let's see if we can make it a 47-yard. I was like, that's gotta be what they do. Nope. They snap it. And I will say 99% of the blame for this is on Sean Payton. Awful play call, awful decision. we should mention Bo Nix's execution of what was drawn up there was also like way out of line. Pressure blew it up totally, but he just also didn't give Mims a chance at it. He should have like risked an interception there. It's kind of better if it gets picked off than it's incompleted. Like just throw it up to the middle of the field. But I mean, truly one of the more baffling coaching decisions I've ever seen. If it wasn't because of crazy Titans a lack of discipline, 131 penalty yards today, a lot of those being like pivotal personal fouls or coverage penalties that kept Broncos drives alive or ended Titans drives. Without those penalties, without a lot of things, but without those penalties, the Broncos don't win this game. It was, I don't know what the hell Sean Payton was doing.
No. And yeah, refs, man, this was tough. I thought that call at the end, man, that last personal foul call was a little weak on 98 right there. But yeah, we benefited from going up against a Brian Callahan coach team. And I haven't been high on Brian Callahan coming into this game. And I think some of his decision making too is probably going to be criticized out there in Titanland or whatever they call it. But yeah, Zach, we overcame. Our defense is elite. What direction do you want to go with this right now?
I want to serve up my cope really quick because I think there's some other negatives. I want to complain about the special teams and everything. I want to serve up some cope, and it's not going to defend the performance we saw today at all. Bo Nix was very bad. Sean Payton was very bad. That's unfortunately been a bit of a theme so far for both these figures in Broncos country. Lest we forget, even before Bo Nix, 2023, Broncos get off to a really slow start that season, 70-20 in week 3. Anybody? And then even in week 1, week 2, the defense couldn't get a stop to save their lives. They lose to the Jimmy Garoppolo Raiders in week 1 on a nail biter. Last year in the opener in the Seahawks, defense scores like 50 points on their own, and somehow they still lose because Bo has a meltdown even worse than whatever we saw today.
Yeah.
And then it was the same thing in, really throughout September for those teams. And that's not good. Like, that's a problem worth discussing. Yeah. But I think rather than the takeaway from this game being like, oh, well, the Broncos are bad and Bo Nix is bad, I think, to me at least, it seems like the more likely hypothesis is like they have a problem getting out of the gate. Yes. And that is still a problem. That doesn't absolve their sins. Look at the Bengals and how that has cost them some seasons. Even if it doesn't knock you out of the playoffs, it can cost you home field advantage. And that is so valuable in the 14-team playoff format. You get the bye, you get home field advantage. Every win is so crucial. You can't fumble the first 4 weeks of the season. But I just think that's the more likely outcome to me. Bo Nix, we've seen really throughout his career, whether it be training camps last year, training camps this year, preseason last year, preseason this year, regular season last year, seemingly regular season this year, he's gotten out of the gate slow. Any of those periods I listed, he's gotten out of the gate slow, and he's gotten way better down the stretch. Maybe the game, I know Joe Burrow's talked about in the past how he feels like he's much better after the first month of the season because the game really slows down for him and he really starts seeing everything clearly. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's something like that for Bo Nix. Again, I don't know. But, and this is the 6th go around, maybe this time it is just sucky forever. Maybe it is. But the first 5 times, it's been sucky at the front. Bo Nix has dialed in some, and it's leveled out. Same thing with Sean Payton. It's been rough in September. They've leveled things out. The difference the last 2 years is they were losing those games. And they should have lost today. Again, I'm not trying to really defend the performance today. They should have lost today, but they didn't. And come January, if it's a wild card race or a division race or whatever, they don't go, well, the Titans win actually counts as 0.7 wins, so they don't make it. It's a win. It counts the same as all the others. And they're lucky, but they escaped with it. It's in the past now. They need to figure out the kinks. They can't suffer through a slow September. A slowly week 1 where they escape with a win is one thing. Got to beat the Colts next week. If you lose to the Chargers and the Bengals, like, that's not good. It'll hurt you in the playoff race. Fine. Get out of September at 2-2. I feel confident about this crew dialing in from that point. That's my copium. maybe I'm ODing right now, but I feel good about it. David, what do you? Am I crazy or am I reasonable?
No, you're right on the money, man. We lose these games normally. It just shows how good our team is. And yeah, that's right. I still think we're a top 10 team because this offense is going to figure it out. Sean Payton's always doing wacky stuff week one. It's clearly a theme that this team under Sean Payton and Bo Nix, they are slow starters, as you said, man. So, yeah, I would be pissed off if we lost this game. But at the end of the day, a win is a win. You never take that for granted in the NFL. And hey, the Saints almost beat the Cardinals today too, and they were massive dogs as well. So it just goes to show anything can happen. You never apologize for a victory, and I think we can feel better going forward because RJ Harvey should be getting the ball more. Cortland Sutton balled out. Troy Franklin is a legitimate weapon, and we have the most menacing pass rush in the NFL.
Yep. Week one is often a liar. I wouldn't, and that goes league wide. Like I wouldn't just go, well, the Chiefs suck now. I saw some people doing that after Friday night. I love the Chiefs losing. I loved seeing them struggle. I wouldn't throw dirt on that grave yet. I would keep my fingers crossed. But anyways, I would just, not worry too much about that. Like BK says here, Titans had 130 penalties and we barely beat them. I'm trying to grab some comments. I meant to read Kathy's. That's why I had it up on the screen. Shout out Kathy Schmididdle. Hi fellas, sloppy game, but we got the dub. Hopefully Sean Payton and Bo got the jitters out and next week looks better. Hashtag LTB rocks. And I'll add on a hashtag DTS rocks too. I agree. I think hopefully they got the jitters out and next week looks better. I think, and we don't know at least I don't, maybe they're already out, but I don't know what the line is for week 2. I have a feeling the Broncos are going to be one of my favorite bets. Not even with any orange tinted glasses on. I think people are going to look at the Colts detonate what looks to be a really bad Dolphins team.
Yes.
And I think the Titans with Denard Wilson calling up that defense. I think he's a legit DC. The talent on that side of the ball looked improved to me. I think Cam Ward's the truth. I think we look back on this game in like December, and not that the Titans will be in the playoffs, but I think we're like, oh, the Titans were better than we thought. That maybe wasn't the like embarrassment it felt like in the moment. Jeremy Sean's got some cope. Here's the ultimate cope. This was almost exactly like the 2015 season. Nowhere to go but up for the offense. I'll be with that. D Bronx echoing what I'm saying Sean Payton had problem getting a lot of the plays in on time. And
yeah, I remember when Bo like yelled at him like early in the first quarter. That was
a problem. And then all the personnel switching too. I think that's something Payton has been unfairly criticized for in the past. It's not that atypical. It's worked for Payton in the past. Maybe Bo needs more time to get the offense down, whatever. It doesn't really matter why. Point is it's not working. And, don't force a square peg into a round hole. Like you need to tinker with that some and not have quite so many personnel changes because it really was jamming things up with the offense. Really frustrated with the amount of times they broke the huddle with under 10 seconds today. Thought that was something they fixed. Fully agree. I think that was more on Sean than Bo.
Yeah.
Hearing stories
why you didn't see the offense in rhythm.
Yeah. And hearing like Chase Daniels tell stories about how Sean Payton like can be chaotic getting the play call in, Bo yelling at Sean there. I think it was and then also we saw in training camp like it was being executed pretty well. I think this was like some game day operation stuff on the coaching staff side. I do no way to know from my vantage point. That's my guess. Last little negative. I do want to talk about RJ Harvey and a lot of positives. The last one I noted that we haven't gotten to yet. Special teams had a really up and down day that I think is worth discussing. Really, it's the kickoffs that bugged me.
Yes.
You have the opening kickoff that's a touchback. I hate that. Anytime, if you're rooting for a team, like if your second favorite team's not the Broncos, I don't care what team you're rooting for. If you've got money on a team, whatever, and you see the special teams intentionally kick a kickoff, barring like a game being locked up and it's just to be safe. I don't know. Coward. It's a cowardice decision. It's setting up the other team for easy points. It's saying I'm too scared to coach and do my job. I would just rather let the offense start at the 35. It's horrible special teams coordinating, in my opinion. I hated opening the game that way. And then later in the game, they actually do kick it to the guy. They can't cover it at all. And it leads to a free 3 points. Then you have Marvin Mims fumbling the ball. That could have been 3 points. They're extremely lucky. It wasn't. We'll get into how amazing the defense was in a second here. But yeah, in a game they really narrowly won, special teams, because that kickoff, the opening kickoff, I should have mentioned this, it made it so only one explosive play and the Titans were in range for a field goal. They only had one good play on that opening drive. That was all they needed because of the touchback. I think you could very easily argue the special teams cost the Broncos 6 points, very easily could have cost them 9 if the defense didn't just go absolutely bonkers.
Yeah, well said on the special teams front. Marvin Mims, special teams, I think probably deserve the most credit, I guess, or blame for why we gave up as many points as we did. I mean, 12 is still not a lot, but man, it should have been a lot less than that. And just the one positive spin, man, I thought Jeremy Crawshaw, he alleviated all my worry that we saw from the preseason. I didn't feel like we had one good punt. Zach, I think I'm remembering 3 punts within the 10-yard line, or maybe 4, and then one was fielded for like a 14-yard gain. But I thought he punted incredibly well, and we almost got a safety out of it.
No, and that's huge. I think, at least I'm optimistic the coverage and whatnot can get better, as they had a lot of turnover on special teams this past year. Coordinator, lots of key special teams contributors are no longer there. Also, maybe it's some chemistry. Maybe they're working out. Like, it was bad. I don't know why it was bad, but I'm a little more optimistic that, they can work out some of those kinks, I guess, than like if the punter just still looked bad, it's like, well, shoot. They can replace him with whoever is the 33rd or 32nd best punter in the league, but that's not great either.
Yeah.
So I fully agree. I think that was troubling. I want to read this Roan comment. I think it's a great one. I think we need to cool down a lot of teams were not on point today, and a lot of missed field goals, like in the Falcons game. I do think there's, we got a super chat. I need to grab that too. But I think there's a lot of truth to that. Like, it's week 1. You see a lot of sloppy play league wide. Like in the early window when I was watching games, it was a lot of sloppy play.
The Jets scored 32 on the Steelers.
Okay, exactly. Like, and then they had like a weird turnover on special teams that almost got the Steelers back in that game. Like, they were begging to give that game away. It's the Falcons-Bucks game. Both teams were trying to give that game away. It's just, it doesn't excuse the sloppiness. It has to get sorted out, but it's also not an oddity. And I think that's important to remember. David Youngkin off the top rope here with a super chat saying, let Webb call plays and let Sean be head coach. I don't think I'm going quite that far myself, but David, what do you think?
I want to be opposed to it, but that ain't ever going to happen with Sean Payton as head coach, man. That as much as we wish for it and want it, it ain't happening.
And then earlier you mentioned RJ Harvey. We've briefly mentioned J.K. Dobbins too a bit. I'm going to take this comment from Josh as an opening to talk about the running backs, starting with the negative so we can end positive.
Yes.
So Tyler Bidet, get ready to speak practice squad again, buddy. I don't like, man, Jaleel McLaughlin needs to be activated back to the roster. I think McLaughlin has his faults. But if the role for Bidet is just going to be the guy who catches screen passes, seems a little unnecessary to me, but whatever, fine. Let's have it be a guy who can actually catch the screen passes.
Like a few things McLaughlin could do pretty well. Yeah,
exactly. And I know he redeemed himself a little. He caught a few after the ugly start, but man, he ended 2 early Broncos drives. I think the first one could have maybe even gone for a touchdown, depending on how the downfield blocking was. And I mean, that was wildly frustrating to me. I don't know. It's all symptomatic of a bigger problem. And that's RJ Harvey needs to figure out how to block for the quarterback, because man, the Dobbins, like, he had a great run at the end there. He got better down the stretch. I don't think he was overly impressive today. And then Bidet was just straight terrible. RJ Harvey, I thought, whenever he actually did touch the ball, which wasn't much, but when he did, it looked awesome. You know how you're enabled to give him more touches and get him on the field more? He has to prove he's at least a respectable blocker. To my knowledge, they haven't asked him to pass protect once in either the preseason or the regular season. They are telling you a lot there with their actions. I don't care if Joe Lombardi comes out in his press conference and is like, I'm thrilled with what we're seeing from RJ Harvey as a pass protector. Then why are you refusing to let him ever do it? Why is Tyler Bidet getting those snaps? Okay. Because you don't trust Harvey to do the pass protection. Harvey, man, show up to the facility at 4:30 a.m. every morning. And I don't know how you're going to rep it out, but just rep out some, oh my God, the Broncos need to figure out a way to get RJ Harvey dialed in on pass protection, because I think it will greatly elevate this offense. I know I'm off the rails, David, but are you with me on this?
I love it. Yeah, I was wishing for Jaleel, I think, like 3 series in or before that, man. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with Tyler Bidet. J.K. Dobbins, I thought, of course, he had some good runs. I think this running back room is clearly upgraded from last year. Some of the holes that both J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey were able to run through, these tiny little slivers there in the interior of the offensive line. Our running backs weren't getting that last year. R.J. Harvey, J.K. Dobbins, they are really the only people that kind of like redeem this offense. I'll give some credit again to Cortland Sutton for making some huge plays. But yeah, like RJ Harvey looked dynamic, 11.7 yards per carry, 6 rushes for 70 yards. Just goes to show, if you emphasize the run game, you'll break one eventually. And we broke through right when we needed to, man, because I don't know how many times we could have given away that game and still gotten away with it.
Well, and I think part of the reason the run game looked better in the second half, yes, it was the commitment to the run, but I think it's also more true run plays. In the first half, part of the reason they were passing the ball so much, and I think also part of the reason the run game was so ineffective when they were running it, it was a lot of RPOs. And RPOs, I think, are a great mix-up. Like, they have a place in the offense. Bo Nix is generally pretty good at them. They should be in there. But it is like the dynamic element of, oh, we could run or pass on this play. It's nice. It gives you options, right? But you're also like getting a less effective version of a pass relative to your average pass, and a less effective version of a run relative to your average run. It's just, they're kind of neutered a bit. And man, all those in the first half, like, you could feel it in the run game. And then in the second half, and there were still run problems, 1,000%. But you saw them institute a few more like real, just the call here is a run. It's not a run pass option. It is a downhill run. That's what RJ Harvey popped his big gain on. That's what J.K. Dobbins popped the touchdown on. And I think a lot of their positive carries in the second half came on those types of plays. Hope we see more of that in the first half next week.
Yes.
1 second. What's this? RPOs can't be your fastball like they are in college. Yes, fully agree there.
Yeah. The athletes are too good, man. We saw that. We saw that when Bo tucked it a few times. And I did want to call this out. Notice a couple times, man, there were some just whiff blocks from Evan Ingram, man, kind of in line. That was rough, but I think, how many rushing yards we have total? 151. And it seemed like we didn't run the ball well for most of the game. Like,
that's crazy. They got over.
I'll take it.
That is really crazy to me. How did they get all that? I mean, they had the big RJ Harvey carry. It must have all come on that, just about.
Yeah, about 50 yards of it did, and then the other 100, yeah, mainly J.K. Dobbins.
You know what? 100 without, I'll take it.
Yeah,
3.9 yards per carry for Dobbins, so not super effective. Knicks hit 18, and then the 70 from Harvey with the 50-yard long really helps. But yeah, they got fairly decent production on the ground. Hope they commit to it sooner. I think they again should tinker a little bit with how they execute it. But I was really happy with what we saw from RJ Harvey as a ball carrier.
Yes.
And I think you would love to see him get that pass protecting element, because then those screen passes go to him too. And I think you can tell he'll be so much more deadly with those than Dobbins or Bidet can be. He just needs to add that last element to his game. And I think it'll jumpstart a lot for this offense. Kathy Schmididdle here. Did the trash talk from Simmons get into Bo's head? I think so. He seemed to try hard and not to run, especially in the first half. Maybe. I think there were a couple times when he pulled up. I think it was almost maybe it was that. I don't live in Bo Nix's head. To me, it just looked like pressing too hard and trying to do, but maybe that was why he was pressing too hard. It reminded me of the Colts game, where it felt like that game, the lights got a little too bright for Bo, where it was, they lose this, they're probably out of the playoffs. They win it, they're probably in the playoffs. And he looked like weeks 1 and 2 Bo from last year. He just had crazy regression, had all these terrible turnovers. Thankfully, Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor had even worse days at the office, but that's what it reminded me of in this one. I don't know if he was just so amped. Season opener, we've got Super Bowl expectations. I really don't know what it was. But it just looked to me like he was pressing way too hard. Maybe the Jeffrey Simmons trash talk is why. I would think not, though, because we saw Bo getting mixed up with trash talk plenty last season, and it didn't seem to negatively impact his play then.
Nah. That's kind of what I think, man, too. Might have gotten in his head, man. But who came to play right now, Zach?
Defense.
We got to talk about this defense, man.
We got to.
They look exactly as advertised.
I mean, and I'm glad. I am so glad they needed it because the offense disappointed, but man, the defense, totally harassed Cam Ward. They were all over him all day long. The sack numbers should be even more impressive when you consider the intentional groundings, the throwaways, the holding penalties that weren't ultimately sacks, but were plays that the pass rush absolutely blew up. How many sacks did he ultimately take? Sacked 6 times. That's a lot. He opened the game pretty well too. I wish I noted how he started, but closes the game ultimately 12 of 28 for 112 yards. That's under 5 yards per attempt pretty comfortably. What the great Chris Wesseling affectionately dubbed the Blaine Gabbert zone, not where you want to live. And this is I really think if you watch the game, Cam Ward passed the eye test today.
Yes.
And the stats are horrendous. And I think that's a credit to the defense. The coverage held up pretty well all game long. I think they definitely got aided by some drops down the stretch, but the coverage was pretty great. The pass rush, though, I mean, it looks like not just an elite unit, but a truly special unit, one of the best units at any position in the entire league, potentially, because not only did they harass the Titans early, but by the fourth quarter, it felt like every Titans offensive lineman had the 1,000-yard stare. They were just beaten down and battered, and it felt like every Cam Ward drop back, there were 5 Broncos breaking through. I think this pass rush is just going to wear folks down all game, all season long. I can't wait to see it implemented throughout.
It kind of gave some 2015 vibes, man, for how often they were getting pressure. Nick Bonito looks absolutely worth that bargain of a contract already. He also looked stout on some particular run plays as well. I think he had 2 TFLs. He was blowing up the backfield in the pass rush and in the run. And then, I just want to mention everybody else who had sacks. Justin Sternad, I thought he had a good game from inside linebacker filling in for Dre Greenlaw. Jonah Ellis, a very timely sack to get them back towards midfield, and then a sack on the following play by Zach Allen. That was awesome. Jonathan Cooper almost got a safety. Jaquan McMillan a sack and a strip at the end of the game led to a Jahdae Barron fumble recovery. But the pass rush was insane. And I came in thinking that we could break the record again for most sacks. And right now we're on a pretty good trajectory.
I mean, the fact they did this with the weakened spine they had, no Malcolm Roach, no Dre Greenlaw, Alex Singleton, not at 100%, was awesome. Hufanga, a big takeaway, had a few bad plays too. Brandon Jones had some ups and downs, but overall, I was really impressed by Hufanga. Brandon Jones, for his downs, he had some really meaningful plays. Riley Moss had a really good day. Jahdae Barron, I want to shout out. He didn't play a lot. He saved the touchdown on the kick return before the end of the first half. That was all him. And then he had the fumble recovery, which, ultimately would have been an incomplete pass on fourth down anyways, but fumble recovery on the last play of his rookie debut. That's a pretty sweet way to end it. I think people who are sleeping on him because he's behind Jaquan right now are crazy. Vance Joseph doesn't like playing rookies. Jaquan McMillan was one of the best players all training camp. Jahdae Barron could have been the second coming of Jesus Christ himself, and Vance Joseph wouldn't have started him this game. I just it wasn't happening for the guy. I would not be out on Jahdae Barron yet. His time will come.
No, man. Man, I love this defense. We saw some nice plays from Alex Singleton too. Maybe not the best in coverage, but breaking up a play there at the beginning of the game. And again, I don't really know there's much to say other than that, man. This defense is really freaking good. It's elite, and hopefully it won't take the offense long to get up to speed. But this is a game that we should have lost, that many Broncos teams of previous years would have lost. 4 turnovers. And how many turnovers did we generate? 3 on our end? No.
Yeah, I think 3 because there was the fumble. Yeah, no, I guess it's just 2. Well, the last one, no, it is 3, right? The one that ended the game, the Hufanga one, and then wasn't there a third one? Or was it only those 2? Okay.
No, only those 2. But Hufanga looks like a huge difference maker at safety, man. 10 tackles today. He was all over the place.
Ooh, you citing that stat just helped me realize, David, I hit my bold prediction this week. I said Cam Ward would not score a touchdown, and guess what? He didn't score a touchdown. I'm riding high.
Dude, let's go. Bold prediction.
I'm telling people. Well, I don't want to tell people what to do with their money. I feel good about the Broncos going up against the Colts next week. I'll just say personally, I feel good about it. I think people saw Daniel Jones go up against the Miami Dolphins defense that's starting my grandmother at cornerback. And yeah, he looked pretty damn good. But look at who he's playing. And also beyond that, Tua had a quarterback performance that was worse than Bo today. That offense was all melting down.
The Zach Wilson show, baby. Come on.
Dolphins look like they might be picking number 1. Like they look horrendous based on week 1. I think Colts are going to get way overrated. The Broncos just turned in an utter stinker. There's no denying that. I think they're going to get way underrated. And I think you're going to see in Indy, I think it's probably like Broncos -1 or Indy -1 or something stupid like that. And I will gobble that number up. We've been going for a bit here. It's been a little. Oh, we haven't talked about the weapons. That's one last positive I do want to hit, and then I'll throw it to you for last thoughts. I liked seeing some guys emerge today. Sutton, not emerging. We already know he's the number 1 guy. He had some awesome plays today. I thought maybe his best play was negated by a hold on the Broncos' first drive, but just like sick throw from Bo and a really nice catch. From Sutton too. Actually, the touchdown was probably his best catch. That was a sick play. Ultimately, it ends up being the 4th and inches, and the Broncos get stuffed on the attempted tush push. But what an effort from Sutton to get those last 2 yards. I thought he had a really nice game today. And then Troy Franklin, I think you come away from this one going, okay, there's the number 2 in this offense. Not only is there the Bo Nix pre-existing chemistry, but Troy Franklin, it doesn't look like it was just training camp or preseason hype. He looked like the real deal today. I think those are delightful developments for the Denver Broncos.
And I liked how Evan Ingram looked too. It's a shame he's got a calf injury. Hopefully he's okay, man. But
yeah, hopefully he is.
I really liked how he looked in the passing game. 3 catches, 21 yards.
Yeah, he was nice. Like you said, hopefully he's okay because they could use his presence on this team. I'm geeking. All right. Anything else you want to hit on, David? I've been all over the place. What did I miss?
It was an ugly win, but man, I'm just happy. I'm so happy we won. We're 1-0. My hot take is 13-4 this year, Zach. So we had to have won this game for that to happen. So I'm a happy camper right now. The offense, it's going to be better. I'm not going to be panicking. And yeah, once RJ Harvey learns how to pass protect, it's over for these opposing defenses. And if not, deadline deal for Alvin Kamara. You heard it here first.
I could really see that actually. I don't hate that at all. I want to watch some Alvin Kamara, make sure he still's got it, but I like the vision there, David. That works for me. Yeah, I would kind of echo what you said to an extent. I'm not changing my Broncos predictions for this year at all off of this game. As ugly as that game was, as bad as that game was, Vegas set the line at 7.5 to start the week, and then they bumped it up to 8.5 because all the bets were coming in on the Broncos. And where do the Broncos end up winning? They win by 8. I mean, they pretty much lived up exactly to Vegas's expectation of this team. I don't think they got there the way many people expected. It was a very ugly game, but I just, man, it's ugly. Like it's week 1. That stuff happens. It seems to be a trend with Bo and a trend with Payton. Those are concerns. They're not concerns for me for the 2025 season. They're concerns for me for September and the other Septembers going forward after the 2025 season. But I think they'll dial it in. Got to take advantage or take care of business against the Colts next week. What else do I want to say? Yeah, Bo Nix, man, play better. I know my closing.
He can't look like Daniel Jones.
No, he's got to be better than Daniel Jones. You've got to have the better quarterback in that game. Absolutely. Yeah. Last thing I'll say, Broncos country, I'm proud of you today. I will say the amount, I think it went a little extreme where I had like 10 people in my mentions saying the Broncos should cut Bo Nix or bench him for Jarrett Stidham. That was a swing too far to the other direction. But I remember when Russell Wilson was absolutely unplayable and Drew Lock was having like 5 interception games, and I was having to convince people they weren't top 10 quarterbacks. Bo Nix had one bad game and people are happy to cut him or whatever. Like the fact that I came into this season with a migraine on the back burner going, oh my God, if Bo Nix has some bad games, the discourse is going to be awful. It's going to be blaming everyone but Bo Nix. And that didn't happen today at Broncos country. I'm proud of you for it. We were honest. We were just like, hey, Bo, that sucked ass. Get it together. And let's all hope he does. Fingers crossed. David, where can they find more of your work? You do such great stuff. Where can people check you out?
Well, thank you again, Zach. I love doing these post games with you. They're one of the highlights of my week. You can find me at David Talks Broncos on YouTube. Please subscribe. I have a big panel weekly show on Mondays, Horsepower Hour with Marquee Sports, Kodiak, and Jeremy Sean, as well as Lucifer Boys on Thursday nights with my man Strez over at Broncos Hub. So would love to see you guys in the Let's Talk Broncos chat. Say hello sometime. Stop by and talk Broncos with me.
Yes, and everyone, please support David. Support everyone he mentioned too, Markey, Kodiak, Strez on the Lucifer Boys. I interact with these guys in the Broncos media sphere and good dudes. Really like Strez. I need to have him on a show. He's great. Big fan of his. Yeah, so make sure you're supporting David there. Everybody will be back. I think Wednesday is what Joey and I landed on with our pregame preview, all that stuff. Probably a little more takeaways from this game, catching you up on whatever Broncos news you missed. We've got altitude adjustment Tuesday night with Mario and Pat. I'm sure they're going to have plenty to say about this one. And that's right, everybody. Full Field Read is back on Friday night, going through all the X's and O's of this one. Man, I can't wait to see them break down some of what Bo Nix was seeing on some of these decisions tonight. Hopefully they can make me feel a little bit better about my copium. But until then, everybody, let's go Broncos. See you next time.
Go Broncos.